Vernon Presley was born on April 10, 1916, in Fulton, Mississippi, the son of Jesse Presley. He grew up in rural hardship and later married Gladys Smith in 1933, even though he was underage at the time. Vernon quietly became more than just a father, as he would manage parts of Elvis's finances and remain by his side through most of his career. His life journey, from modest Mississippi roots to sharing the spotlight with his world-famous son, is a reminder of how ordinary families suddenly found themselves tied to the whirlwind of rock and roll history. This photo captures Elvis Presley with his father Vernon, a bond that went beyond appearances. As Elvis's fame exploded in the 1950s, Vernon often followed him on tours, acting as a guardian and handling practical matters. Though he had no musical ambitions of his own, Vernon provided stability for a son living under constant pressure. Their presence together in images like this offers a glimpse of the personal connection behind the public figure of the king, revealing a family link that endured despite the intense demands of celebrity life. In August 1958, after the passing of Gladys Presley, a young Elvis is seen comforting his father Vernon. Elvis was granted leave from military duty to be near his mother during her final days, but her loss devastated the entire family. This moment shows Elvis not as a performer, but as a son who stepped in to support his grieving father. The photo reflects a role reversal, with the child now holding strength for the parent, at one of the most difficult turning points in their lives. On July 4, 1956, Elvis Presley, then just 21 years old, stood beside his father Vernon during the height of his breakthrough year. That same year, Elvis had released Heartbreak Hotel, appeared on national television, and become a sensation across the United States. Yet this picture shows a quieter instant, a father standing next to his son as the world changed around them. Behind the cameras and crowds, their relationship remained central, grounding Elvis as his career rocketed to unprecedented levels of fame. In Memphis, Tennessee, on July 4, 1956, photographer Alfred Werthemeyer captured Elvis Presley holding a Pepsi, joined by his cousin Bobby and his father Vernon. That afternoon, Werthemeyer documented dozens of ordinary scenes, showing Elvis as a family member rather than a superstar. These candid images later became part of the famous collection Elvis at 21, offering fans a chance to see the king away from the spotlight. In this moment, he was not performing, just a young man sharing time with the people closest to him. After the death of Gladys Presley in August 1958, Elvis and his father Vernon appeared together in mourning. Gladys had been Elvis's greatest emotional support, and her passing left him heartbreaking at only 23 years old. Vernon, already carrying the weight of family responsibility, now faced the challenge of helping his son endure grief while managing the family's affairs. This image preserves a deeply personal moment of transition, where both men leaned on each other to navigate sorrow while life demanded they moved forward. During his Army service from 1958 to 1960, Elvis Presley was frequently photographed in uniform, but moments with his father Vernon reveal another side of the story. Vernon visited his son at training in Fort Hood, Texas, and later in Germany, ensuring he remained connected to home life. Even while serving his country, Elvis carried the dual role of soldier and global celebrity. With his father nearby, he found stability, reminding us that family ties were central even in the midst of military duty. In Las Vegas in 1969, Elvis Presley sat beside his father Vernon during a press conference announcing his return to live concerts at the International Hotel. After years of focusing on movies, Elvis was preparing to reclaim his place on stage. Vernon was present as always, showing quiet support as his son faced journalists eager for a comeback story. This gathering marked the start of Elvis's legendary Vegas years, and the photo captures both family presence and the beginning of a powerful new chapter in his career. In 1969, Elvis Presley shared more casual moments with his father Vernon, away from the flashing lights of press events. By then, Vernon had become deeply involved in his son's business affairs, ensuring decisions balanced success with family needs. This photograph reflects that closeness, showing not only the king of rock and roll, but also a son whose father remained by his side. The relaxed expressions in this scene reveal a bond that endured through triumphs, challenges, and the constant demands of stardom. In 1959, while stationed in Germany with the U.S. Army, Elvis Presley enjoyed breakfast with his father Vernon and his grandmother Minnie May. These quiet family meals in Bad Nauheim were a welcome break from military duties and public attention. Despite being one of the most famous men on earth, Elvis treasured ordinary routines whenever family visited. This photo shows him not as a star or soldier, but as a grandson and son, savoring simple time together across the ocean from his Memphis home. On August 29, 1969, Vernon Presley stood alongside Elvis and notable friends Frank Sinatra and Joe Esposito at Nancy Sinatra's opening night post-show party. That evening, Elvis mixed business, music, and camaraderie, and Vernon remained a constant presence among the stars. Joe Esposito, who later became part of Elvis's inner circle, had already been introduced to the Presley family through the Army years. In a snapshot like this, we see more than celebrity glamour. We see relationships, loyalty, and the circles Elvis moved in, with his father always close by. Circa early 1970s, this image shows Elvis Presley with his father Vernon in quieter times. By then, Elvis was deep into his concert years, recording residencies and global fame. Vernon, older now, had steadily taken on roles overseeing business and family, offering a stabilizing force. This photo captures them beyond public spectacle, as family, not just performer and manager, reminding us that even in an era of massive success, private bonds remained essential. In March 1958, Elvis reported to the draft board in Memphis, flanked by his parents Gladys and Vernon Presley, before entering military service. That date marks a turning point. Elvis paused his burgeoning career to serve his country. Gladys and Vernon stood beside him in that moment of commitment and sacrifice. The photo immortalizes a family united at a crossroads. Elvis stepping forward into duty and his parents supporting that leap. On November 10, 1959, in Germany, a relaxed Elvis joined his father Vernon at the record player in his off-base home. Though stationed overseas, Elvis still found time to indulge his passion for music privately. He was known to drive a Jeep around the area during his Army years, hoping to return to performance soon. Here, away from the stage in uniform, he reconnected with what he loved and shared that with his father. While Elvis served in the Army between 1958 and 1960, his parents, Gladys and Vernon, remained a constant support. They traveled to Germany to visit, sometimes accompanied by other close family and friends. During those long months, their presence offered comfort, continuity, and connection to life back home. The photo of Elvis with both parents during that era evokes devotion, distance, and the ties that held the Presley family strong despite separation. This image shows Elvis and his parents standing together in Tupelo, the city where he was born in 1935. Although Elvis had long since left for Memphis and the spotlight, he never really left his roots behind. This family portrait speaks of origin, the place and people who shaped his early years. In Tupelo's modest surroundings, we see the beginning of a journey that would take Elvis far beyond home, yet always tethered to it. On November 6, 1960, Vernon and Elvis Presley were photographed at Memphis Airport as Elvis returned home after his Army service. The king had completed 2 years of duty, and this reunion with his father marked both an ending and a return. Vernon stood there watching his son step back into civilian life, a symbolic moment of transition, relief, and the promise of what was to come next in Elvis's legendary career. On July 4, 1956, Vernon Presley and his son Elvis were photographed at their home at 1034 Audubon Drive in Memphis before heading out to perform at Russwood Park. Photographer Alfred Wertheimer captured that instant, calm before the excitement. That very year, Elvis was turning into a national sensation, performing live, recording hits, and changing the music scene. Yet here's a snapshot of ordinary life, father and son about to walk into history together. This photograph shows Elvis, his father Vernon, and his mother Gladys standing in front of their home on Audubon Drive in Memphis during the mid-1950s. The house, bought in March 1956, later became a key part of Elvis's domestic history. In front of those walls, the Presleys shared joys and challenges as Elvis's career accelerated. Here we see a family portrait not of glamour, but of foundation, place, and the backdrop of early success. As a child, Elvis Presley stood with his parents Gladys and Vernon in front of their humble home, long before fame enveloped him. This early domestic scene shows an ordinary family in an ordinary environment, before stardom reshaped everything. To look at this photograph is to remember. Behind the legend was a boy, guided and loved by his mother and father, whose lives would shift in tandem with his rise to icon status. In 1957, during the filming of Loving You, Elvis was joined on set by his parents, Vernon and Gladys, who even appear as extras in one scene. That same year the film premiered, showcasing Elvis's first major starring role. Vernon and Gladys visited Memphis to support their son, and were later filmed as part of a studio audience watching him perform. This image captures a rare blending of family and career, a father and mother stepping into their son's cinematic world as the spotlight shone ever brighter. Here we see Elvis surrounded by his inner circle: Dick Grobb, Sonny and Red West, Jerry Schilling, Lamar Fike, Joe Esposito, and his father Vernon Presley. This circle of friends and associates guided many facets of his life: security, business, loyalty, companionship. Vernon's presence in that group underscores his role as a stabilizer, a figure of trust respected by those closest to Elvis. This photo reveals not just fame, but the team and family behind the legend. Elvis sits at a piano, flanked by his mother Gladys and father Vernon, both deeply engaged in music with him. In those moments, the stage was private and the performance intimate. The piano was one of Elvis's constant companions, a tool for creation, comfort, and connection. Together, they shared melodies, harmonies, and a sense of closeness that predated stardom. In this scene, the Presleys are not spectators. They are participants in the music that would define their lives. At his parents' home, Elvis is seen on the phone, with his young cousin Billy Smith close by and his father Vernon nearby. These domestic snapshots reveal a side of Elvis away from concerts and press, a man staying connected to family. Vernon's posture suggests attentive support, while Elvis juggles personal calls, celebrity demands, and family ties. In such moments, the weight of fame interrupted daily routines, but family remained central to his life behind the microphone. Vernon Presley visited his son's gravesite at Graceland several times, notably placing a rose on August 24, 1977, just days after Elvis's death on August 16. Vernon himself died on June 26, 1979, and now rests in the same meditation garden beside Elvis and Gladys. His visits reflect enduring devotion, a father honoring his son's memory even as his own life neared its close. This image links loss and legacy, binding them forever beneath the grounds of Graceland.